O Mother Nui, stretch high above this valley. Your starry body is our glory. Then see the hawk of yonder Rahur quit, his fiery splendor, oh so mighty. He brings a light for all our weary souls. He makes the broken spirit whole.
Okay, so welcome to today's deep dive. We're unpacking a really massive stack of clinical psychology papers and empirical research today to explore this highly subversive phenomenon called spiritual narcissism.
Yeah, and it's a fascinating topic because you'd normally assume that a spiritual awakening would naturally make someone, a better, more moral person.
Right, exactly. But we're looking at what happens when a really fragile ego survives that enlightenment and basically hijacks esoteric vocabulary. It builds this unassailable fortress of superiority.
Exactly. Without rigorous inner shadow work, the ego just puts on a disguise. It co-opts the language of the soul to protect a very fragmented inner child from, the terror of inadequacy.
So it's kind of like a computer virus rewriting your antivirus software.
Yeah.
Like, use the exact tools meant for healing to actually protect the disease itself.
That is a perfect analogy. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it usually shows up as what we call spiritual materialism.
Wait, spiritual materialism? What does that actually look like in practice? Like treating meditation retreats as currency or something?
Yeah, exactly that. Treating esoteric knowledge as badges of honor to prove they're this highly evolved self. Psychologist Robert Augustus Masters actually calls this spiritual bypassing.
Spiritual bypassing. Okay.
Yeah, he refers to it as avoidance in holy drag. Basically, they use spiritual concepts to completely sidestep their unresolved psychological wounds.
Okay, wait, I struggle with that a bit. Because isn't forgiveness like the ultimate goal of most spiritual practices?
Well, sure, it is a great end goal.
Right, so if someone wrongs you and you hold on to that anger, aren't you just trapping yourself in negativity? By not saying everything happens for a reason.
No, demanding premature forgiveness after a boundary violation is actually biologically damaging. The assumption in a lot of these communities is that anger is just a spiritual failure.
Oh, wow. So they just force themselves to bury it.
Yeah, and scientifically, skipping over anger is catastrophic. Anger isn't a lack of enlightenment, It's vital neurobiological data.
Meaning it actually tells you something important.
Exactly. It is your body's internal alarm system signaling that a boundary has been violated. When you bypass that straight into pseudo-forgiveness, you completely lose access to that crucial self-protection metric.
That makes so much sense. And since bypassing destroys those internal metrics, how do researchers actually measure this superiority externally?
Well, researchers Vunk and Visser actually developed a scale to measure spiritual superiority. They looked at students in subjective energetic training.
Energetic training, like aura reading or something like that.
Yeah, aura reading, past life regression therapy, things like that. And they found those students exhibited drastically higher spiritual superiority than people just practicing traditional mindfulness.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting to me. That sounds exactly like playing a sport with no objective scoreboard.
Oh, absolutely. There is basically no way to lose.
Right. Unlike a surgeon or, a concert pianist, your failures in aura reading are never visibly, objectively proven wrong. So it's this perfect breeding ground for ungrounded grandiosity.
Because those skills operate entirely within subjective experience, there's just no falsifiable standard. And if you drop that dynamic into the modern digital ecosystem, the danger multiplies.
Oh, yeah, with algorithms and everything.
Yeah, social media algorithms algorithmically reward absolute certainty and extreme confidence. So an influencer who acts like they have all the answers gets massive reach.
So they get rewarded for acting like an untouchable guru.
Exactly, which sparks what we call Nobel disease. That's where an influencer gains a little success in one area and suddenly claims absolute omniscience in everything.
That is wild. So their ego is just constantly fed by the metrics.
Right, which completely detaches them from reality. And because they're detached, they need followers to constantly validate them.
Which is where the manipulation starts, right? Like trapping people in endless cycles of love bombing to get them hooked.
Yes, and then when a follower inevitably questions the guru's behavior, the guru uses spiritual texts to invalidate their reality. That's spiritual gaslighting.
What does that sound like?
They might say something like, oh, your doubts are just your lower vibrations talking. They use doctrine to make you doubt yourself.
That is so manipulative. So what does this all mean for your safety? If you find yourself caught in that web, how do you get out?
The ultimate defense is the gray rock method. If you're dealing with a spiritual narcissist, give absolutely zero emotional reaction.
Gray rock.
Yeah.
Like literally just being as boring and unreactive as a pebble on the ground.
Pretty much, yeah. You starve them of their narcissistic supply, giving their ego absolutely nothing to feed on.
That is a great strategy.
It is, but on a deeper level, breaking free requires trusting your somatic instincts over coercive spiritual doctrine.
Like that tight, uneasy feeling in your stomach.
Yes, your nervous system knows when you are being manipulated, even if the manipulator is quoting sacred texts perfectly.
So you basically have to trust your own hardware over their infected software. It brings us right back to that computer virus analogy.
It really does. You have to be your own antivirus.
Which leaves you with a final question to ponder today. If authentic spiritual growth requires you to reclaim absolute critical thinking and autonomy, at what point does the very act of seeking a spiritual master inherently become an obstacle to your own liberation?